everyone and welcome, my name is Greg. Today I'm going to be going over the Gladiator faction. We were given two new commanders, Spartacus and Crixus. This video I'll be highlighting Spartacus, but I will briefly show Crixus and his abilities. Both commanders cost 85,000 free XP, or you can spend gold to unlock them. It's been about a month since the faction was released and I've played nearly 120 battles with Spartacus, so I have a decent feel for how he plays. I wanted to wait until I'd gotten to at least tier 9 before making the video, so I could give my opinion on him once I was given the ability swapping, so I can customize the units to my playstyle. With the new faction, we're giving a new little avatar. You can see that in the top right hand corner, a little gold icon. With the Gladiators, we were also given the new map, Vesuvius, which is obviously where this background came from. It is quite a nice map. It's not too small, it's not too large, it's pretty well rounded, but I'd recommend playing it to get your own opinion of it and getting a good look at it from the battle perspective. We were given the new background of Vesuvius, which I really like. I personally love listening to the rumbling of the volcano in the background, the ash falling down. It's a nice little touch. One issue I do have with this background though is that the features of the commanders are a bit dark compared to other backgrounds, and it's a bit hard to see the equipment on Spartacus and Crixus. I think maybe just having that one light source from behind the volcano isn't enough to really illuminate him enough. Let's have a look at the tech tree now, because we have 4 new premium units which have been made available at tier 4, 5, 6 and 7. We have 4 branches of units which are available. You have a heavy infantry option, you also have a dual swordsman option, which is a very aggressive unit that sacrifices a bit of defense, but it's very fast too. We have these beast slayers which have tridents at tier 7 and 9, they have spears. We also have a light infantry option, which is very agile, fast, but very weak in engagements. They do have the ability to throw rocks too. Now, the infantry on the Gladiator faction have 2 attributes which make them quite interesting to play. Well, we have unformed movement. They do not maintain formation whilst moving, so they're more spread out. The second one is Brawler. This unit is more effective, defending against multiple enemies. Both of those are interesting to pay attention to when playing these units. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to strip off all the talent point allocations on Spartacus and Crixus. I'm going to go through the commander abilities at tier 1, then I'm going to chuck on all the talent points at tier 9, or tier 7 for Crixus, which is a tiny bit lower, and then go through what they look like. So at tier 1 we have Blaze of Glory. This is a pretty standard charge move. Plus 50% movement speed, plus 25% acceleration, plus 10% charge impact, plus 20% impact damage, and plus 10 morale. 4-second duration with a 40-second cooldown. At tier 3 we have Champion. This is an AoE and it has 2 components to it. Champion, which activates only on the unit which is activating the ability, and Inspired on any unit that falls within its AoE. Champion gives a plus 40% melee attack for 20 seconds on that primary unit, and Inspired gives plus 20% melee defense, plus 15 morale. Not too bad for a tier 3 ability. This gets a lot spicier at the higher tiers, but we'll get to that in a second. Champion also has a 60-second cooldown. At tier 5 we have Uprising, another AoE ability, but its effects are the same across all of the units that fall inside that AoE. This one is a bit interesting in that the AoE is a targeting range, so think of it like an AoE that is a focus fire. The ability will be projected into an area, plus 10% movement speed, plus 20% melee defense, plus 20% melee attack, and plus 20 morale. 80-second duration, a cooldown of 210 seconds, an AoE of 20 meters, targeting range of 50 meters. That's pretty good for a tier 5 ability, and it's available at the very start of the battle, so it's not like some of the abilities that you need to wait a while to actually unlock. Let's have a look at Crixus and his abilities now. So Crixus at tier 1, he has Vicious Assault, a strike move, plus 20% melee weapon damage for 10-second duration, and then a 45-second cooldown. That's not too bad, so he gives you an extra strike move, which is very handy on any unit. At tier 3 we have Adrenaline Rush. This is like a dash, a mobility increase, and this gives you plus 30% movement speed, plus 30% acceleration, and then it's got a second leg onto that, which is a plus 20% melee attack. So a total duration of 25 seconds, cooldown of 50 seconds, but you only get that melee attack buff for the last leg of it. At tier 5, we have Undefeated. Plus 20% charge deflect, plus 50% melee defense, plus 25% melee weapon damage, plus 50% melee attack, plus 25 morale, and these numbers can change based on the number of units within an AoE. Now, it does deactivate if you're out of melee for 10 seconds, and it has a 300-second cooldown, so you need to be very mindful of when to use this. You need to make sure that you're going to be in engagement for an extended period of time if you're going to be activating this. Let's allocate the talent points and have a look at these commanders at tier 9 for Spartacus and tier 7 for Crixus. I'm going to speed this up because this part is really slow and boring. One thing to be mindful of here is the talent point allocations for these commanders are based off my playstyle. So this would vary from player to player and potentially even unit to unit. Now definitely for tiers 2, because if you're playing a lower tier unit, you might not normally have some of the talent points allocated for tier 5 that you would if you were, say, playing at tier 9. So that's something to definitely pay attention to when you're allocating talent points. Say for instance, if you're going into a competitive scene and you're capped at tier 7, your commander's at tier 10, you would only want to have all your talent points into tier 7. But if I'm going to be playing my provocateurs at tier 9, my talent points are going to be available all the way up to tier 9. So let's have a look at Spartacus at tier 9 with his talent points allocated. I've only put 2 talent points into Blaze of Glory, and that was just to unlock the additional 1 second onto the duration. So the numbers there are very similar, only a slight increase to the movement speed and an additional second onto the duration. That's just because my playstyle, I don't charge too often, so I don't really put a lot of value into that particular aspect of my gameplay. What I did do is allocate a lot of the talent points into the tier 3 ability champion. So let's have a look at those numbers now. Plus 60% melee attack, plus 20% melee defense, plus 5 morale onto the champion leg of it for a 26-second duration. That's very, very nice. The inspired section is where I put even more of my talent points into, plus 30% melee defense, plus 45 morale. That is huge. 26-second duration, 50-second cooldown, and an AoE of 45 meters. So that is very, very respectable, and I can cycle that across all 3 of my units and have at least that inspired leg of it on all 3 of them for the whole time I'm in an engagement. That's very nice to be adding on to units within that AoE. And then we come into Uprising, which is looking even better now. So we've got plus 10% movement speed, not much of a change there, plus 24% melee defense, plus 40 melee attack, 40% melee attack, plus 20 morale, targeting range 50 meters, hasn't changed, AoE 30 meters, duration 86 seconds, cooldown of 185 seconds. So again, I can cycle that across all 3 of my units and have them on there the whole time. Now if you then use those 2 abilities with the abilities of the actual units themselves, you can put up quite a nice little combination of commander and unit abilities together that make them very, very effective in a lot of engagements. So let's have a look at them now. Across all of the heavier infantry units, the Gladiators get the Execute strike move, plus 50% melee weapon damage. The enemy cops a minus 40 melee attack, duration of 2 seconds, cooldown of 15 seconds, which isn't too bad. But what's unique about this is you can hit the enemy units whilst they're knocked down in a frontal cone. It's quite a nice strike move for the Gladiators to get, and the animation looks really, really cool. At tier 9, I've brought in the ability swapped evasion, plus 25 missile block chance, plus 15% melee defense for an 8-second duration, and a pretty reasonable cooldown of 30 seconds. I also have the ability swapped, which comes default with it, and this is the tier 9 substitute for the lower tier Indomitable. I have Shield Master, plus 30 charge deflect, plus 80% shield melee defense plus 20 missile block chance. So if you've got both of these going at the same time, your missile block chance is plus 45. That's evasion and shield master. That's quite nice. You do cop a movement speed minus 40%, but that's not too bad. 30-second cooldown, a 10-second duration. This is quite nice. You're going to be increasing your defensive capabilities from both ranged and melee engagements for a duration there that could be the difference between you winning that early fight or losing it. And especially with evasion, if you're trying to catch enemy ranged units, you're not going to be copying a speed debuff from that. And if you've got that activated and you're, say for instance, coming up towards the enemy ranged units, you can have evasion on and then activate your charge, and you might be able to catch them with that long charge. It's quite nice. If you then couple all of that together with the commander abilities, say you've activated Uprising before coming in, you've got Champion just before then too, and then you perform your charge, you've got all of the buffs from those commander abilities, and then you have the melee defense buffs from both evasion and shield master. I like to do them before I actually perform my strike move. So I've got all of my stats buffed, I've just charged in, I've got my defense buffed, I'm just absorbed the first strike move from the enemy units, they've done no damage, and then I slam them with the execute and wipe out a quarter of their unit with unstrike move, and it actually works very, very well. Let's have a quick look at the consumables. I like to take Dionysus Haruspex and Primus Pallas. I think the addition of those two onto the units, the missile block chance and the movement speed, really complement my units. An interesting thing about the Gladiators is the movement speed. Now, I've got highlighted here the tier 9 unit that has a movement speed only, on par with a lot of other heavy infantry in the game, but the movement speed across a lot of the Gladiator units is significantly higher than what it is for the other factions, and that makes them quite useful for, say for instance, moving from capture point to capture point, or for trying to catch enemy ranged units, or even for intercepting other units from getting to defensive locations. Having more speed is always very, very useful. Now, there are some equipment upgrades which I can chuck onto these units which will make them a bit faster, but generally across a lot of the Gladiator faction, we have a very nice movement speed. Next thing to look at is the survivability of these units. They have an absolutely huge health stat. It's about 50% higher than what you have across all the other factions. You've got a very, very high health value for these units, but to offset that, you've got about half as many units, which is something you need to pay attention to when you're playing them. The infantry have very stock standard stats in terms of aggression and defense, nothing too amazing there. You can see I haven't really got any of the equipment. The numbers would rise with more equipment, but what you do get is these numbers go through the roof when you've got Spartacus's abilities on, and if you've got a couple of chevrons, you're pulling very, very impressive stats too. Pretty standard missile block chance and morale flank value. That's nothing. Morale flank damage, that's nothing too impressive there. So what I'm going to do now is, I think it's time for me to finish talking. Let's load into a battle. Hopefully I can highlight what Spartacus and the Gladiators can do, and hopefully the video is entertaining. You've made it this far. Have a good day, everyone. I'm not going to commentate the full battle because I'm bad at commentating battles, but hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you like the Gladiator faction, and hopefully you will give them a go and see if you can dominate the battlefield with Spartacus or Crixus and the Gladiators. I do realise I didn't go through and reallocate the talent points for Crixus. Unfortunately, the video would have been way too long. Maybe I'll do another one on Crixus once I've played him for a bit and have a better formed opinion on his play style. So apologies for not doing that, but let's get into this battle.
Our enemies will die.
Claim what is yours!
Swordsmen, run!
We fight as one!
Blades at the ready. Yours to command. Our enemies will die.
We will never be slaves again!
Swordsmen, Apace! Our enemies will die.
To freedom or death!
Swordsmen!
Dodge their attacks! Finish them!
Double time! Kill!
I will show you the way!
Blades at the ready! Slay them!
Show your skill!
Swordsmen! Blades at the ready! Slay them! Apace! Our enemies will die! Ready to
We
fight!
choose to fight!
Run! Quick, march! Swordsmen! Our enemies will die!
Follow my lead!
Death! Attack! Kill! Run! Swordsmen! Our enemies will die! Blades at the ready! Our enemies will die! Double time! Swordsmen! Awaiting orders! Quick, march! Blades at the ready! Eager! Apace!
Claim what is yours!
Destroy! Death!
Dodge them!
Our enemies will die! Quickly! Swordsmen! Slay them!
Are you not entertained?
Blades at the ready!
Strike through!
Quick, march!
The enemy commander is dead!
Our enemies will die! Swordsmen! Run! Quick, march!
Onwards, brothers!
Death!
Finish them!
Our enemies will die! Attack! Destroy!
Evade them!
Death! Destroy! Kill! Destroy! Apace! Swordsmen! Quick, march! Our enemies will die!
Avoid attack!
Quickly!
To freedom or death!
Swordsmen! At the ready! Double time! Blades at the ready! Swordsmen!
Onwards! Together!
Quick, march! Our enemies will die! Blades at the ready! Run! Our enemies will die! Quickly! Swordsmen! Awaiting order! Quick, march! Double time! Kill!
Onwards, brothers!
Our enemies will die!
Evade them!
Quick, march! Your command?
Unleash hell!
Swordsmen, attack!
Dodge them! We will never be slaves again!
Blades at the ready! Swordsmen! Blades at the ready! Attack!
Strike through!
Run!
Out of their way!
Apex!
Onwards, brothers!
Swordsmen! Our enemies will die! Blades at the ready! Attack! Kill! Quick, march! Our
Are you
enemies
not
will
entertained?
die. Slay them! Death!
A
Swordsmen!
killing blow!
Attack!
Show your skill!
Blades at the ready! Kill! At the ready!
Evade them!
Run! Slay them! Our enemies will die! Kill! Death! Orders! Attack! Quick, march! Swordsmen! Our enemies will die! Swordsmen! Our enemies will die!
We choose to fight!
Quickly! Blades at the ready!
I will show you the way! Claim what is yours!
Swordsmen!
Out of their way! Strike through!
Our enemies will die! Destroy!
See them fall!
Blades at the ready! Our enemies will
Strike
die!
through! Dodge their attacks!
Swordsmen!
Strike through!
Our enemies will die!
I will show you the way!
Eager! Swordsmen! Our enemies will die!
Strike through!
Blades at the ready! Our enemies will die!
Avoid attack!
Destroy! Slay them! Swordsmen! Destroy! Our enemies will die! Attack!
A killing blow!
Swordsmen! Run! Our enemies will die! Slay them!
Follow my lead!
Swordsmen! Kill!
A killing blow!
Slay them! Double time! Our enemies will die! Run! Blades at the ready! Our enemies will die! Blades at the ready! Quickly! Swordsmen! Run! Our enemies will die! Swordsmen!
Onwards! Together!
Quick, march! Our enemies will die!
Unleash hell!
Destroy!
Evade them! Finish them!
Double time! Blades at the ready!
See them fall!
Swordsman! Blades at the ready! Kill! Quickly! Our enemies will die!
Strike through!
Blades at the ready!
Dodge them!
Your command! Destroy!
A killing blow!
Swordsman! Quick!
To freedom or death!
Death! Our enemies will die! Swordsman! Double time! Kill!
A killing blow!
Attack! Kill! Blades at the ready!
Out of the enemy commander has fallen!
Destroy! Swordsmen! Ready to serve! Awaiting orders! Our enemies will die! Orders! Quick, march! Slay them! Blades
Show
at
your
the ready.
skill! We choose to fight!
Swordsmen! Blades at the ready! Our enemies will die!
Invade them!
Slay them!
A killing blow!
Come! Blades at the ready!
See them fall!
Our enemies will die! Apace! Swordsmen!
Onwards, brothers!
Your command! Our enemies will die!
Follow my lead! Claim what is yours!
Swordsmen! Slay them! Destroy!
Avoid attack! Strike through!
Run! Our enemies will die!
Show your skill!
Slay them! Apace! Swordsmen! Blades at the ready! Our enemies will die! Quickly! Blades at the ready!
Are you not entertained?
Apace! Swordsmen! Run! Our enemies will die! Blades at the ready! At the ready!
We fight as one!
Quick, march! Swordsmen!
See them fall!
Quickly! Blades at the ready!
Victory!